coherence. This is a very exciting new field of technology and science that is really bridging the gap between age-old spiritual principles of intuition. So let's take a look at what that means. Because coherence is the study of how the brain and the heart sync together, alignment. And this is important because what they're finding is that when the waves of the brain thinking patterns are aligned with the heart patterns, there is a greater peace, which allows the body to function better and allows creativity to flow faster. And since the rhythm of the heart is linked to the emotional state of the person, finding a place where a person is calm, which oftentimes is associated with positive emotions, allows the rhythm of the breathing, the rhythm of the heart, to be in a nice flow that can align with the rhythm of the thoughts. And when that happens, that is the optimal zone of function for the body as well as function for the mind. And as we can see in this example on the left-hand side, like the heart rate is all jagged if we're stressed, if we're in that red, when it comes to the color scale, when we're in that red, always fighting, it's a very frantic type energy. And ultimately, it doesn't allow our body to do a lot of the healing processes that it wants to do because it's in a fight or flight scenario. Whereas when we bring that peace in, which is ultimately blue on the color scale, and allow the rhythm to regulate and align, then we have creativity flowing. And here's another example of the heart rate variability, the respiration, the breathing, as well as the blood pressure, finding that aligned equilibrium where they're working together, and that's the coherent state. So this is what we're really going for, and this is another way to describe being in the flow. It's a sense of it, and we'll go deeper into this in the efficiency module. Yet this is what we want because people's greatest creativity flows when they're in that flow zone. You know, whether it's a sport, whether it's painting, whether it's business, when it's that relaxed state of intense focus. And that's really what science is starting to put together here of what's happening in the body in that relaxed, focused, intense state where the best ideas come from. And here's HeartMath, which is, they're really the leading edge of this type of work, and they've been featured in NASA and Stanford School of Medicine. Wall Street Journal has this quote here, and they say if you're curious about your heart rate variability and the other data that can be gleaned from it, they'd recommend the HeartMath Inner Balance for a comprehensive approach. So a few things on this as well is that, you know, the heart, as we've talked about, has a series of neurons. So to take this step further, what I foresee is they developing more and more technology to see how those heart neurons are working and what's that communication channel between brain neurons and heart neurons, and how as those sync together we actually unlock optimal levels of creativity. And you can see now why in the beginning I shared the new school concept of alignment rather than the old school concept of just searching out for ideas. Because when we align our body and our mind and all these different processes on the same page, amazing things happen. And that's really the key that we're looking for here, because that's when true genius comes through. And as they've discovered is that our heart emits an electromagnetic field around us, and this is proven by science. So none of this isn't guess theory. They've measured this and they've found the field around it. And what's interesting about this, I have a different slide here, is there we go, is bridging the gap. So, you know, in Eastern philosophy, there's been this concept of the aura and all the different chakras in here and how the energy system emanates and how you can feel a person's aura, what's the emotional state that's in their bubble. Well, interesting enough, now science is saying, okay, there's a field of coherence or non-coherence around a person. And that electromagnetic energy space not only touches us when we're in proximity, but it also affects each other. And that's really what as they've been researching it more and more, they've been finding, okay, how does one person's coherent state or non-coherent state affect the other person. And common sense wise, we just know that to be the case, because if somebody walks into a room and they've just got a lot of bad energy and it's just kind of feels like it pulls down the room, we know that. We can feel it. It's kind of like a cloud's over them. Well, that's an incoherent state that's happening in their field to such a strong degree that anybody within reach, it's passing on that information. And conversely, when a person's just feeling, they're just glowing with energy, and they walk in the room and it just feels like everything lights up and people just feel better being in the presence, that's an example of coherence. And now science has tracked what's happening here, and really is just on the cutting edge, which will be developed and refined more and more years. And we can see how this age-old philosophies of, for example, the aura is really starting to have concrete examples in the science world now. And I believe there's one other one here as well. Yeah, so one of these other ones right here as well is really the link, and that's what we'll continue to go into, is the connection between our emotions and our creative state. And in the old school thought, it's really not taking into account of our emotions connected to our creativity. It's really this mental left-brain thing. And really what this is about is aligning the neurons in the head, heart, and stomach, as well as our emotional state, our physical state, so that our creativity is flowing and we're in a coherent state that allows our creativity to flow through, so that we can collapse time, get better results, and have a blast while doing it. So that's what I got for you in this video. I'll see you in the next one.